What is going on, everyone? I'm here to start office hours again, and obviously it's going to be something in which we are Thursday, 3 p.m. This is my best opportunity to answer your questions. I'm going to kind of give you a heads up, from the start. I'm a little fried. Just basically been recording for the last 2 days. The title update is one of those deals to where when you're doing game plans, you want to make sure that if a game plan comes after a title update, that you do your due diligence to make sure you test everything on the new patch, scratch anything that doesn't work. You want to make sure that it's all fresh, right? So when you're in the middle of doing a game plan and you've got X amount of setups, and then you realize some things don't work the same, some things work better, you have to reshoot. It's just a lot of work, and that's what happened this week. Tuesday out of the blue patch update, definitely put a little bit more time constraint, and we're still working through that. But those that are subs, you should know that if you guys look now, I've been uploading as I've gone. We've added, I think, 34 videos to the empty. So we did empty trace stack last week, and then we did empty Y Texan, which is all done. I got all the write-ups done and all the pictures for that. And then empty Y slot, we got all the videos in. We just have to do a little bit more when it comes to taking the pictures, doing the write-ups, and making sure that we get you all the information of how to run it. And that should be done hopefully, shortly after I get done with this office hours. I'll do my best to, continue to grind and get this done by the end of the night, so that way you guys have the complete product. But definitely work in progress for that last formation. But hopefully you guys bear with me as I try my best to get this on timed for you, just because of the patch obviously put a little bit of a wrinkle in this week. So I see some questions, and kind of see what we can do here. And I'll kind of explain, take them out here. So Lord Jason, he's asking better run defense using nickel 335 Sam. Now, I run 335 Sam, and I'm going to be quite honest with you. Depending on what you're facing, you're going to have to figure out what's the best way and what runs you're facing. So let me explain that. When you do those blitzes where you're pinching the whole defense, it absolutely kills, and you're blitzing those linebackers, absolutely kills it inside zone. It'll fly through those gaps, those linebackers, and that's going to be an easy run to stop. However, if you're going against anyone that's playing, any outside zone, any outside type runs, you're pinching your defense. So unfortunately, that really limits your ability to defend, because you're basically taking all those players and bunching them into the inside. They're going to have outside leverage on you. So you got to realize that that's not the best time to pinch your defense when you're getting an issue to where you are allowing them to get to the outside. So if you're going against stretches or power O's and all that type of stuff, I would suggest kind of looking through it and say, let's spread rather than pinch. And you're going to give up the ability to kind of get to the quarterback in that situation, in running situations. But that's going to be your best bet. If you're going against I form or anything like that, you definitely want to get into, matching personnel, whether that be a 3-4, 4-3, or a 4-4. Trying to stop it in 3-3-5. Sam, it can be done, but you're basically still allowing them to have more potential of getting, some bigger runs. So to me, I stay in 3-5 Sam, kind of spread my players and get better leverage for the outside runs. And then if I'm having a hard time stopping them because, obviously they got good run stick or whatever the case is, then I go into those formations. So hopefully that helps you with that. I just want to make sure that you understand when you should be calling 3-5 Sam blitzes, and why you are a little bit more exposed on the run game. So Papa B says, what's the one go-to defense for starters? On our site, there are definitely different ways to, different ones. And obviously the patch just came out. So I'm going to be 100% honest. I've been doing a lot of recording for this newest game plan. And my whole focus was how this newest game plan worked against the patch, not as much what can I do on defense to improve things, and not basically tested everything since it came out. So I do know the basics of what's happening and know the basics of what's the bugs and all that type of stuff. But as far as every little thing that I'm usually I study the patches so I get ahead of everything. I haven't done that as much. I just wanted to make sure that this newest game plan was perfect against the patch, and then I'll obviously spend some more time here in the next couple of days to do so. But as far as a new, the one defense for starters, it all depends on your, I guess, your want in a defense. I like the 3-3-5 Sam, and I pair it up with, the 2-4-5 odd that we have, not 2-4-5, 2-4-5 double A gap that we have both in the Lions and in the Arizona one that Pick'em did. And I do sprinkle some 3-3-5 wide. However, some of those are going to be working a little bit different now that we have the patch. So, and that's more of an aggressive type defense to where I want to get after the quarterback, make him throw inaccurate passes and all that type of stuff. But I know I'm going to give up some plays. That's just my style of defense, right? If your style is more, basically coverage and whatnot, I would say go to Arizona with Pick'em. He's going to show you some match coverages. He's going to show you some different things that he likes to do in there. And I feel like it's a little bit more well-rounded. And then, you can definitely look at the Lions for some stuff because they're going to intertwine, but it all depends on the player you are when it comes to the stuff on the site. Bills is asking, any more defensive plans coming soon? Yes, I mean, we always are looking for defense. I'm always in, pro players' DMs, seeing what they're doing, what can we do to get some things on the site. One of the things that we wanted to do, obviously, is two things, to be honest with you. First thing, Dreeny's coming very soon. We want to get his stuff out there. And I wanted to get an under center offense. So I've already contacted somebody that I think you guys are going to be excited about his offense. And we want defense, whether that's, from, myself, whether that's from, a pro player or whatnot. Knowing that a, title update was probably imminent coming, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to get a defense out until we kind of saw where that landed. Now we kind of know a little bit where that landed. So now we kind of, hammer in on that. So I'm always looking for it. A lot of times defense is the stuff that people are struggling with the most. So if I can find a defense that I either feel is really respected amongst in the pro, circuit and something I see that's really good, I want to jump on those and really try to figure out if anybody wants to work with us. But we're always trying to get you guys defense. Trust me. I mean, we put a lot of content out. I mean, we're pretty much 3 to 4, even more than that early in the year when it comes to game plans, a month. And we try our best to make sure that we're, as the game changes, we do our best to, get you guys as best as we can to get you prepared. We know defense has been tough this year, and we definitely want to make sure that we continue to look for that stuff. Okay, let's see here. Other questions? Let's see here. Hot Boy Z Hammer, I'm not sure 100% what you're saying. How to slow down them crossing routes, daggone crossing routes. Crossing routes can be done a couple different ways. You got match that you can do where they'll match on the crossing routes. Crossing routes is also something that you can do with zone depths to where, depending on which player it comes from. An example would be trips tight end, where sometimes the crossing route comes from the inside receiver and sometimes it comes from the middle receiver. And if that crossing route comes from, depending on which elevation it gets, you have to have 25 or 30 yard depths. The thing with crossing routes is that they can be open on a couple different areas. You want to make sure that you can definitely cover them to the sidelines. And then you want to make sure that you have some type of either hook zone or manually cover it, up to the hash, and then you want to release it. What I mean by release it, it doesn't make sense that the user carries it all the way to the sidelines if you have a zone there for you. And then you want to, you don't want to have two people covering the same person. So you just got to have trust that you have the right depth on there. But, you can either go with two routes, if it's a trips trips look, a lot of times that you want to do like a palms to where the backside guy is going to help you out in that regard. It just really depends on what it is, but crossing routes can be done a couple different ways, but zone depths is probably your best bet to start off with on the backside zone, and then kind of go from there. So Bill says the game plan just came out with this fire. You're the best because I want something off meta. I appreciate it, Bill. So not exactly a question, but I appreciate you letting us know that. For those that are watching this, we just dropped the rest of the empty out of the Bills offense, not Bills offense, my bad, out of the Houston Texans offense. It's empty tray stack, empty Y Texan, and empty Y slot, as you can see on my screen right now. There's 61 videos, about 3 hours worth of content, and trust me, it's not fluff. It's going to have everything you need to beat any zone, quick pass, bombs. It doesn't matter if it's man coverage. We're going to show you how to beat and block any type of mid blitz when it comes to going after empty. We're going to show you quick ways to get easy throws. I specialized in wanting to make sure that when I face this is the offense I've been in for the last month, and what I see a lot is people don't know how to stop it. They try cover 3, we torch them. We try cover 4 drop, we torch them. Cover 2, we torch them. So they start going into match coverages. And, I wanted to make sure that when they have match coverages, that we're absolutely going to torch them. And there's a lot of match beaters in this playbook, a lot of fun plays. I can't tell you how much fun I'm having in it. I know a lot of people are as well. Check it out. It's definitely worth, you get a subscription for $9.95, and I would definitely suggest if you want something different, want something fun, you can definitely use this, right? I'm not a big person when it comes to, using, the glitches in the game when it comes to the pump fake glitch and that stuff. But if you guys want to have fun with this offense even more, you put some, you use the screen plays and using the quarterback with escape artists and using that, it's even more of a headache. I know that's going to get patched, so I didn't teach it, but it's definitely something that you can combine with this and even be more of a headache in this offense. But definitely something worth checking out. So let's see, Griff. What is your process for attacking disguise coverages when you pre-snap read is unsure? Do you identify the coverage and then move to progressions, or do you go straight to progressions? So if I feel like somebody, I don't have a pre-snap read on somebody, right? And typically when that happens, I'm facing a different style defense that I haven't seen before, right? Like if I've faced 3-5 wide so much that I pretty much know what you're running before at least, the shell that you're running, and you could be doing some cross manning, you could do some, Mabel coverage, but for the most part, I can tell you're in cover 3, cover 4, show 2, man coverage, cover 3, when it comes to the will blitz, I know those, right? 2-4-5 is one that I know pretty well unless they base align, right? But you get into something like maybe you haven't seen much of, like this 3-3-5 will, or, maybe, just something that you just don't have a whole lot of reps in, and you kind of get thrown off by the pre-snap read. I definitely go to progression to where I limit my vision. What I mean by that is I say I'm going to call a play that is going to be most likely a flood concept or a high-low concept to one side of the field, and I want to just take mental pictures of what the alignment looked like and say, okay, here it is. I just noticed that, on this alignment, it ended up being cover 3, and I wasn't expecting that. So next time I see that, that's what I'm going to expect, right? And I want to limit my progression reads. Like a lot of times when you get college quarterbacks that come into the NFL, I don't want to say that they dumb down the playbook, but they give it to them in spurts to where, okay, I know Michael Vick was like this when he came to the Falcons. I'm a huge Falcons fan, but in his early years, it was like, okay, let's get the field down to one side. Let's make the reads on that one side. And then as he got better as a passer, better the reads, the speed of the game slowed down for him, they opened up the playbook, right? Well, that's what I do when I don't know pre-snap read. I want to slow down, limit my field to, basically these 2 reads. And now I log my memory. Okay, that was actually cover 4 drop. And now I know, okay, when I see that look, I know it's cover 4 drop. So that's kind of my idea as I go through. And then base plays are the best. What I mean by that, if you look at when we label a base play, that's usually just a progression read that says it pretty much beats all coverages. I'll start using a lot of those and just log in as I go. So that way I have the ability to kind of, build my offense as I go and get more comfortable with what they're doing pre-snap. So hopefully that answered your questions, but that's basically how I do it. And then an easy way for me, again, is I read the safeties. I know I talk about this a lot. Read the safeties to see what their motion is. But a lot of times, if you're just trying to, key in on a 1-2 read, most of the time that's going to work out for you, and then kind of work it out that way. Let's see here. See about there. Jesse Dubs kind of asked the same thing about stopping containing run and nickel sets against shotgun without completely selling out for the run. A lot of times that has to do with, depending how you have your alignment. If somebody's, kind of beating you out in the outside, you want to make sure that you kind of, spread your line, making sure that, you spread your linebackers. I typically, in my approach to stopping the run, is I want you to run up the middle. I want to make sure that I funnel you outside in, right? So if I'm in nickel, I know I got a little bit of opportunity to help out with a nickel corner on one side, but the other side's open, right? The other side's got the safety that's, typically, 12 to 15 yards off the ball. That's going to be a lot harder to, defend the run from that spot. So, as a user, I'm expecting them to run more to that side. So what I try to do is I try to make sure that you funnel everything to the inside, and that's where your ability to stop. And a lot of times that's your ability to have your running back run into the back of linemen, all that type of stuff. So my suggestion is just from a thought process, make sure that you don't get gashed outside. And then see what they have, right? And then kind of go from that direction. If you have to, start using, like say you're in a cover 3 buzz, you got to start using the safety to help out and make sure you got your linebackers or whatever the case is. You just might have to just alter a little bit to where sometimes maybe not using the middle linebacker is the best thing, or sometimes I just move the middle linebacker back up like 6 yards. That way I've got a better angle to, keep outside leverage on my angle, but also, come down and make the play. So nickel can sometimes be tough depending on what you're doing. I mean, it's a generic question. So nickel, 3-5 will, 3-5 Sam, 2-4-5, nickel normal, big nickel over G, all different alignments, right? The way that they, have, where the players are positioning. But I guess just from a thought process, make sure that you take the outside first and funnel them inside. That is my suggestion when you're having trouble. Hot Boy Hammer asks, is there a difference between 3-5 Sam and Will? There is. In Sam, you're going to see that the right of screen player is kind of outside a little bit more. And then Will, if you look like I'm in it right now, I'll just go ahead and pick the play so you can see it. You can see that this is the guy it's going to be, the guy that stands up on the left side. If I was to flip it, you could see, basically I'd flip it before it, but that's the guy that's usually standing. And he actually, over the years, he's always been one that's been in a position that can get some good block shed out there. In 3-5 will. So, if you put some type of, abilities on him, a lot of times he's going to be one of your better players on the field. So it's kind of a natural rush to have that guy on 3-5 will. Shred 6 strings 107. Are the current gen compatible plays in the new game plan? I noticed the sections that are just okay. So basically, let me explain how I do my my personal game plans. Right, I play on next gen. Right, so I build this stuff on next gen, and then I go, and this is why it's a work in progress. I go into current gen, and I go in there and I basically test this all stuff in practice mode, right? And I mark off everything that says what's good. Then I go get a lab partner and say, these are the plays that look like they're working in practice mode and what plays are not working in practice mode based upon next gen. Let me run these in a game. I need you to call cover 3. I need you to call cover 4. I need you to call this. I need you to call this. It's a long process. At that point, I go back into the game plan and mark what's good for current gen, because everything is going to be good for last gen when I do it, right? And then when I go into current gen, I take notes. This portion of the play works great in current gen, but the cornerback doesn't bite like he does in next gen. So this one route isn't going to be open. I try to make the notes. So, and when you look at what's on there right now, it hasn't indicated what's good in current gen yet, I expect the majority of the stuff to still be good in current gen. There are going to be some things like short side bombs I know aren't going to work, but this in empty, from experience of running it last year, I marked stuff off on current gen already that I know it's going to work because I ran this last year and I knew that was going to work out, right? So that's basically the way I go about it. And so don't fret if you guys see that nothing's marked off yet as current gen. It's just I haven't got to it. I'm really, I've been working around the clock, to be honest with you, just because of the fact that this patch really, the timing of it wasn't great for me because this was my week to do my offense. And you guys know that I don't like to do a 15 play offense. This is 60 plays, right? And the reason behind that is I don't expect you to know or run all of this, but some things are going to hit home a lot more for others than, different things. If you're in a, you're playing some top competition and certain players love to run match, you need to have a certain amount of match plays, not just one, in order to beat that player. So I want to make sure that I'm going to give you a bunch of those. You might be playing a lot of people that like cover 3 and whatever the case is. Some things mean more to others than whatnot. So that's why I go in there and really try to do my best to allow you to pick how you want to tailor your offense. There might be a lot of people who want to run this offense and they're not going to run it exactly the same because they enjoy other plays. And that's what makes it fun for me is like I make a game plan that's customizable to what you like and what you feel good about. So people that are running it, obviously with the same instruction, but they're also running it their style because they customized it from 60 plays down to the ones that they like. And they go from there. So that's important to me. I kind of feel like, the style of a game plan is just run this isn't who I am. I like the fact that you guys have the ability to kind of pick and choose what you want to use. So that's why right now not everything's marked. It does take some time for me to do that, and obviously once I get to that point, I'll definitely let you guys know. And that's when I usually post in the Discord and announce that it's ready. Is when everything's done. That way, you guys can go look for it. But right now, all the videos are done. Just not everything is done just because I'm a little behind because of the patch. Let's see here. David asks, what do you look for when you're labbing 2-point plays? So 2-point plays to me, the way I go about it is I want to make sure that I can attack in different areas to where obviously it's compressed, right? So the user is going to typically stay in the middle of the field and he's going to not only cover the immediate low part, he's going to cover the immediate area above him, right? He can't allow the seams or the quick throws to be able to get him beat. So I want to make sure that I hold the user with a route in the middle. And that usually isn't the route that I'm looking to hit. I want to be honest with you. That route is just more of it's a decoy that if he doesn't cover it, it's open. But if it isn't, so when I lab things, I want to make sure that I have a route that holds the user in the middle, and then I got a route that goes away from the user, and I got a route that basically goes across the user. And that way, once I see what he wants to basically put his attention on, I've got a second route, right? So that's usually how I go for 2-point plays. A good example is like your inside cross out of bunch. You've got the running back that goes one way and you've got the in that goes the other. Really, really tough. And if you can know which ways you want to attack, then you put the rest of the routes to free up those players, right? A lot of them is just like clear outs. Like I want to clear out this player. I want to do this. I want to do that. That's kind of how you want to go when it comes to that, because that's the way that you basically go from there. Let's see what other questions we have, but that's really at least my thought process. Obviously, I do like different routes that are specific. Like I do like pivot routes. I do like routes that basically allow you to throw to several different points. Right, like a in route from like a tight end or a slot receiver, you could throw it as he goes straight up if the user doesn't cover it, and then he goes to the left. So knowing that you've got several different spots to throw the ball also helps. It gives you generally 2 reads, right? So I look at stuff like that as well. Can you go over some? Let me see. Here's a couple of questions here. How would you bomb cover 3 match from fade out? The slot corner always matches the halfback streak. So, am I in cover 3 here? Okay. So let me see. Make sure that I see what you're saying here. So, and let me ask who has that. That's Redemption's Gaming. Redemption? Are you in? I guess which console are you on? I want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. I want to make sure that I'm not in a buzz either, because not most. So we'll do cover 3. Let's see here. Is there an easy one to show? I guess I'll go back to Will, and I'll just do cover 3 match. Here it is. All right. So you're saying you're saying from fade out, the slot corner always matches the halfback streak. So you're saying something like this. We showed this here. You got 2 verticals. That guy's going to go ahead and match them, and you're not going to be able to do that, right? I mean, obviously, you see that the X was open against cover 3 there. So, if they're in match in that regard, that's going to be something that isn't going to be a cover 3 bomb in that regard if you're trying to do this, because you see this, they're going to follow the Y, X is going to be open, and you just take what you have, and then you're going to have to force them to kind of change that, right? Now, let me see from a standpoint of bombing this. Let's see. So cover 3 match. That's not going to be the way that I wanted to. From fade out, it's not our best cover 3 bombs, obviously. It is a base play, and it's designed to be very, very quick hitting. In that regard, I would personally, if you're trying to bomb it, I'm thinking that you're going to have to get involved the tight end here, where you're going to throw it to the inside of the face of the free safety, where if we put the Y on this, now, let me see here. So that actually didn't work the way I wanted to. Let me see what the other way that we did it, right? So cover 3 match. Let's see if we can find a way that this is going to work here. Does that guy go like this? He stops. Yeah, so what I would do is probably change the way this works. So I'd probably put the outside guy and change him out of his route. And I would probably do this if I'm looking to bomb it. So to me, I'm not looking to bomb cover 3 match out of this play, but if you're looking for it, I'd probably do something like this, where I do a smart routed out on the X, the Y that way. And now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hit the A as he crosses the face of the player here. And I'm going to probably try to catch that ball right there, and then catch it through. So that would be my suggestion when it comes to that. Oh, you want to do the one from 335 wide? Let's see if I can get that out here. Let me get out of this. So you're talking about Mike Blitz 3. Or you're talking about the Sam Blitz 3. So let me know on that so I can give you a little bit more detail for there. But this is Mike Blitz 3. We'll just go ahead and show it out of that and see if we can find you what you're looking for. But I would typically just do this, where I'm not going to be going for the bomb on the left side. I'd probably do something like this, where I'm actually going to use the A route, right? So the A route's going to be across the face of it, and now you're going to have that player that's going to beat that player in that spot. So that would be my personal way of going about it when it comes to if I really needed to bomb cover 3 match, somebody that's all they're running and you want a deep play. There's so many other bombs, obviously, right? But for this specific play, I would go that route with it. And the reason why I'm just holding the Y down is because I want that seam flat to play him. So the seam flat's going to come down, and then you can see, obviously, I'm throwing this ball in that little spot and get that way. So hopefully that helps you if that's what you're facing. Obviously, we can't go over every single coverage and every single play to see how to bomb it. But if that helps you, hopefully that's what you're looking for. Let's see here. So Papa Busy, it's probably best if you're just going to go through the videos than me showing, match beaters per se. There's a ton of them, depending on what you like. I'll show one that I just did. It was the last play of the game plan that I have a lot of fun with. It's out of the empty Y slot, and it's stick and nod. This is a cover for basically quarters, and people just don't see it coming. In order to get that player to, if you see here, I'm motioning the A to the right. And basically, in this regard, what I'm trying to do is just basically isolate the player over here. So what you see is that nobody will cover the. Actually, I didn't do the right combination on the left-hand side. So let me show it to you here. I'm putting the X on an out. I'm putting the Y on a slant. Moving this guy down here. And it's either the user has to cover the A or nobody covers the A. And you're going to see here that majority of the time, nobody covers the A, right? So this is just something that nobody is really looking for. But I love that stick nod out of the backfield. You're going to see that I did a lot of different things. So you're going to see that is something that will be a little bit more, an example of just how to get people wide open when it comes to match. I probably went over at least 15, match beaters as far as just getting people wide open, whether it's quarters, cover six invert, palms. Really went extensively into that one. So just kind of look in the label of the video, and you're going to see what each one is doing, and you're going to just honestly, you're going to dominate match. And the thing is that when I teach match beaters, I'm going to teach you if they make no adjustments or if they make adjustments and who they're using, right? If they're using the left safety, you're going to want to attack the right safety, and this is the one that you're going to do, right? If they put the left safety in a deep half and you want to attack the right safety, you're going to do this, right? Sometimes people just say, hey, this is a match beater, but I try my best to at least give you options on how to change it depending on what they're using and who they're what adjustments they're making, so that you can still beat it. Honestly, you really can't play too much match on my field unless you're mixing it up and, confusing me to a point where you know what my play is before I know it, right? Because there's just so much on the field to be able to beat it. All right. So lockdown, you're talking about cover 2 man, cover 1 robber. I'm not sure how far you've gotten into the new game plan. Empty tray stack, man coverage is probably its weakness, but the other two formation is its strength. And that's why I taught it this year that way. So if you haven't dove into empty Y Texan and empty Y slot, those are going to be your savior. I'm going to be honest with you. All right. It's just one of those deals to where those, you have the ability to block all your blitzes. You have the ability to have a lot of man beating routes. I love empty tray stack as a, primarily a zone, just tear you up. There are some, man beating plays, but when people start going to man and start doing, different things to where they're doing a man hybrid, where they're putting, hard flats and cloud flats to each side, I like to go into the other formations and absolutely get them out of it really, really quickly. So I want to make sure that you kind of understand that a little bit. Big Zo, I can't answer that for you. I haven't played enough current gen this year to know how well the run fits work. Basically my extent on current gen is really about testing things that, I find on next gen and going over there. I haven't had extensive there. I know, Pick'em is somebody that's on our staff that, concentrates more on being able to know both consoles. So I can definitely ask him, get back to you a little bit more. But for me to answer that question, it would definitely be a guess, and I don't want to do that for you. Let's see here. Just trying to read some of the questions. Since tray stack is pass heavy, what about leaving the tight ends in and dropping down when they get into a all-out pass defense? So you'll see the run. The other two formations are going to give you a lot of options because I'll kind of show you what I mean by that. With the empty Y Texan, you have the ability to basically depict, you've got two players, on here that can do delay fades. Move this guy in. Now you've got 7-man coverage, you got delay fades. So a lot of times what people are going to do, they do drop a lot of players. You're going to see a lot of our Pass combinations, it does not matter. I talk about that in the videos. But what usually happens is the toughest part is like if somebody comes out like in a 2-4-5, like a double A gap, and they're showing blitz, right? You're basically in your thing. You don't know if they're blitzing you or they're not, and they end up dropping everybody, and you need to make sure that you have the ability to block it plus put stuff out. I love this formation because I've got these two routes that I can basically do whatever I want with while still putting out 3 receivers. So in that case, that's why I really like this formation. Now, the other formation is the empty wide slot. We just showed you that you have that ability to, be able to block. And so if anybody's doing that type of stuff and they're sending everybody out, you've got this guy that you have the ability to help block and then send the 4 guys out, and you're actually in spread, right? So the flexibility of those formations is really nice and really helps when it comes to attacking differently because of the way that people put a lot of zones out there. You're still going to have a lot of success by mixing in what you've learned in Trace Stack and what you're going to learn with all the stuff I just put out. All right. So Dan the Man wants us to walk through pocket presence and awareness and pre-snap protection. Snap the ball, basically the whole 9 yards. Okay. So as far as pocket presence go, there's a lot of times that, at least this is my opinion of how I do it, I'm very comfortable with my offenses, and I get to the point where I kind of know who's going to be open based upon pre-snap reads on the defense, right? If you get to that point where it's less about read and react, it's more about, okay, I know who's going to be open here. I can concentrate more on defensive leverage, okay? And what I mean by that is I'm just going to, pick a play here. It doesn't really matter. And say these guys are doing a really good job of getting outside, right? Well, I'm looking, say, in this instance, let me just go call cover 2. In this instance, I know since they changed cover 2, this A route's going to get open because the way that they turn and face, they're going to let up this 8 to 10 yard out route against cover 2 now. So I know that guy's going to be open. So my job right now is not to get sacked, right? So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the ends more than anything. Are they getting upfield to where I can't drift back anymore or to the right? And I'm going to get in trouble, right? So if that right end, the right of screen end, comes up the field and he's basically beating his man, I have to step up. What people do to get themselves in trouble is drift back. The more you drift back, the sooner those guys are going to disengage from the block and get to you. So you have to learn that stepping up in the pocket is going to extend your play when it's counterintuitive to you, to where I'm getting rushed. I back up so they don't get to me, right? It's about stepping up when you can. So if I'm looking at this guy and he's coming to the outside right here, see how he got locked? I'm just going to throw the ball away. And I'll tell you what I mean by, so I can kind of get into this here. And I wasn't really looking to throw the ball, but I wanted to kind of show it to you, okay? I'm looking at this player right here, right? And I know that I'm looking here and I can't get to the right. Once he locks up like this, I know I have the opportunity of basically drifting to the right a little bit to shorten my throw, but not too much to where if I cross the plane, basically what I mean by, if you draw a line where number 75 is on the screen, and if I cross that line, that guy's going to disengage and have an opportunity to get to me. So I want to stay to the left of that line so that I keep my quarterback leverage per se, right? So if I see how he's got his hands and then he finally, goes off, well, if I was on the right side, he'd be a lot closer to me. So what I'm doing at this point is knowing I got a little bit of space, but not too much to where I can get around unless I'm doing a big, a loop as far as, in order to roll out. I'm not a rollout passer. I want to make sure that I stay in the pocket and make my throws. And in this instance, I'm reading number 9, and my guy actually held him up pretty well, right? So I tried again here, looking at this guy. I'm good. I can go out here and basically do my runs and do my throw because that guy was engaged. If he gets an opportunity, I'm trying to spread these guys out a little bit across the board, where he's getting leverage across. I'm trying to figure it out here. Okay, see this? I can't go out. I've got to step into the pocket, right? And I want to show you what I saw initially that knew that it was time to change the path of my quarterback. When I saw that this guy over here went here and he's outside like this. See that leverage that he's got? He's got basically that stance to where he hasn't locked up on the offensive lineman. He's in a spot that he can break free at any point. I know at this point, it makes no sense for me to go to the right. I need to step up in the pocket, make sure that I shorten this, and I'm going to be able to throw my ball, right? So I'm reading the ends. If you get somebody that disengages up the middle, unfortunately, those are things that are very hard to predict, right? Like a defensive disengagement, it's tough. So really, you have to kind of trust that you want to make sure you step in the pocket and you've got your reads, right? A lot of times when I do play design, you got to have a check down route. You got to have somebody that says, my O-line did me dirty. Who am I throwing it to? And that's what I do when it comes to my defensive tackles. Those are the guys that, if the defensive tackles get that insta shed or whatever the case is, I need to get my check down route. I feel like I kind of control the ends when it comes to their ability to get to me by, being able to step in the pocket, read their angles and being able to do that. But defensive tackles, that's not the case, right? They'll split double teams. They'll do a lot of different things. So you just got to make sure that if you see that and you feel that presence, you either have a check down or you're basically able to just kind of drift and kind of set it up. Another thing I do is I do set up my blocks to where if I see the guy on the left side is getting, a really nice block, I'll kind of make sure that I drift a little bit to where I'm not changing the angle of the guy's block and, kind of mess it up. I want to make sure that I'm helping my linemen, not hurting them by my movement. So hopefully that helps you out in a little bit of at least my mindset when I'm looking at it and kind of go there. So UK Tomo says, is there a way to help your D-line play the shotgun runs better in nickel? Doesn't have to blow it up, so to speak, but does shading inside, outside, shading left, right help them? Yeah, Tomo, it's about the type of run that you're facing and which gaps you want them in to make sure that they have leverage, right? So it's not a foolproof thing, right? I want to make sure that you understand that in general, but you want to put your guys in the best positions to at least give you an opportunity to shed, right? So if I'm doing something like this to where I'm doing inside zone and I'm just going to pick cover 2 sink, it doesn't really matter. And the running back's on the left, so you should expect either a counter to go left or an inside zone to go right or something to go right, but for the most part, the right. And if you shift your lines to the right? Now you see that this guy's got outside leverage of this player. So there's a good chance that if this guy goes straight to the outside, that he's not going to be able to get outside because he has leverage out there and he's going to have to cut it up. But you can see that this guy's got inside leverage of this player. So in that regard, if they go ahead and block the right people, there should be a hole between the 75 and 85 if you're looking at it that way. Now, who's going to fill that mark? It's probably going to have to be you as a user, right? So for me, I know that if I look at my players and their leverages and their run fits, that I'm weak in that spot, that either I'm going to have to scrape around and cover it myself, or if I have the ability to shoot through this gap in order to stop it. But for the most part, you want to make sure that you take something away. If we were just to do this and we put them all in the middle like this and we're putting them all there, you're going to have to get all the way to the outside to stop anything to the outside because everybody's got inside, your defense is basically all inside based, right? So you got to figure out in general, how does that work? Sometimes moving this guy down, if he's in cover 3 to where he's a cloud flat or a curl flat, is going to help you with that. But it's really about having gap integrity and making sure that you're not in a position to where you don't have the advantage. I was talking about this earlier. I'm a big advocate of making people come to the middle of the field rather than outside. I feel like you get torched more to the outside. There's less congestion to the outside. When people run into the back of their own lineman, or if you're able to kind of stop a gap by just even going to an O lineman and taking outside leverage, little things like that is going to help you with run defense. These are just basically tactics to help you without really talking specifics, right? So I want to make sure that you understand that, depending on what you're getting torched on, you want to make sure that you adjust accordingly, look at your linemen according to what they have, and kind of say, where would the hole be? And what can I do as a user to make sure that that hole isn't present? And that's kind of how I do it, from a running back standpoint. If I know I'm going against a heavy runner, I'm going to be a little bit more conscious about that rather than, setting up my zones to stop their pass, right? When you get a good player that's doing both, it makes it a little bit more tough. But you got to figure out what is the the lesser of two evils as far as what you're going to give up, what you're not going to give up. So that's kind of changed that way. Let's see. Red zone, guys. I'm in Texans right now. I run gun deuce close and I run wing slot offset. I'll give this to everybody just so you guys can see, kind of what I do. A lot of times what I'm doing, to be honest, is I'm starting off. Let me just go ahead and just pick. I don't want to do random because it would be all over the place. But let's just call it cover. So cover 2. I'll go up here. And a lot of times what I'm doing, I'm going to start off an RPO zone alert bubble, right? I just figured out a couple days ago, thanks to the guys that helped me out. I think Haji was the one that told me how to do this. All I got to do is click in the left stick, hold it down, and then hold the left trigger. So a lot of times what I'm doing is I'm taking a look at their defense out of gun wing slot offset bubble. If I like what I'm doing and what I usually start with this play. If I have the Y open, I'm going to throw it to him, and a lot of times I'm going to get my easy yards. You can see here, like if that guy comes in, throw it over there, and obviously that guy went ahead and did it, but I'm going to use that as my base, okay? Why I do that as my base is because a lot of times I'll get easy touchdowns. If I don't like it, I'm going to basically run this ball here, and a lot of times I'm going to get some good plays, but in general, it's setting up the next play, and the next play is the RPO, the read flat. And what they're doing here is if I start with this, right, I'm throwing it to this B almost 95% of the time because he's almost always open inside the 5. And inside the 5, you're not going to get a legal man downfield because of the fact that those linebackers are a little bit closer and you really don't get down the field here. So the reason why I do this is because if you see that I do RPOs and I'll run the ball, a lot of times the users are going to come down, and you're going to see here that unfortunately, of course, the guy's going to knock the ball down. But a lot of times what's going to end up happening is that you're going to see that when I do this, one, people aren't looking for this play because they don't know that's deuce close, because they don't know what I'm basically into. Hike the ball real quick, they come down, and now you're going to see that I hit this guy pretty much every time. So this is my go-to to start off with. Once I've done this, I like to go to a different play in gun deuce close. It's called Y corners and outs, I think. Let me see here. Yeah, corners and goes. And a lot of times what I'm doing on this play is I'm actually looking to hit this Y route. If the Y route's not open, I hit the A. But a lot of times if I actually have slot apprentice on this player. And what I do is I put him on a corner route. So if they're in cover 2 hard flats, he's open in the corner. But what I like to do is just wait for this guy to come in, throw this ball to him. And it's such a quick hitter that the user doesn't go over there. Like he has to overcommit to it. So the first time I'm running this play, obviously I'm running the RPO. I want them to worry about that. Next time I come in here, I'm going to run this play, throw it to them really quickly, get my yards and whatever the case may be, depending on what they're running. And I'm going to kind of use that as that thing. A lot of times I'm going to sneak in this bench curl, which is the same thing I was telling you before, where I'm going to use that X route. And a lot of times what happens here is if I notice that they're in some type of hard flats, I'm going to do this where it's hard flats out there. I'm going to be hitting this X receiver, and he's going to get over to the corner here, and you're going to see that that guy's going to be open. And I kind of use that as an opportunity to do it as well. So to me, what I'm trying to do is do a whole game plan to where I go for 2 every time. I don't know if you guys know that, but I go for 2 every time. So I have a lot of red zone opportunities that I like to use. And then also, I'll show you other plays that I like out of this thing. If you go to our tight slots, halfback tight slots week Ghost's game plan, we show you some specifics. And I don't want to show those too much because you guys probably have seen it or whatever the case is. But those are things that I do like to use as well. Let me see here with wing slot. I do like the ability to use this mesh spot play as well, depending on what they're running. You've got that ability where I usually go this way with it, where you've got that running back's route that's really tough. So if I start off in gun wing slot and I do that motion, or I do that, what's it called? The audible. They don't know, am I doing the audible? What am I doing? Kind of do something like this to where I didn't throw the ball the right way, but that RB route is usually who I'm targeting on this. And then I've got the in from the opposite side. So let me go ahead and You know what? This is kind of something I like to run as a 2-point conversion, so it's always in the middle of the field. But depending on where you are, you can do different things. But I like to just make sure that I take this guy away on the play, right? So what you're going to see here is basically you've got that mesh concept with the A and the Y. This guy's going to be taking the player away. And you can see how this RB gets up and he gets basically open in the back of the end zone. Unfortunately, it's the way it works in practice mode is, basically every time I'll run it, it'll work the wrong way when the camera's rolling. But this is definitely something that I do run a lot. So I want to see basically why it's not working the way I want it to. Maybe I just have to have this guy settle. But for the most part, I usually hit that guy coming up the seam here. And I usually throw it right there. I know I didn't do it. I'm leaving I'm leaving the what's cut on there right here. So usually I don't put the Y on that route. I usually make sure that he's on a hitch to hold the player for the X. So what I think I'm doing right now is when I take that guy over, I'm actually taking the safety with me. So I just wasn't thinking clearly here. But for the most part, I do look for that player there. And then you can see here that I throw this ball behind it. I'm going to give up on this play because the way it's driving me nuts. But I do have a lot of plays that I'll use in this regard, depending on what they're running. I do like outs because a lot of times with outs, what you're able to do is just kind of roll with an out, and you got the 1-2 punch to where you can throw it to him, or you can run with your quarterback. So it's just one of those deals that I'll throw those in. But for the most part, I'm running the RPO zone bubble. I'm going to the RPO read flat. I'm running the Y corners and outs, and I'm just running the ball out of shotgun to set it all up. And if I get an easy touchdown, I get an easy touchdown. I talked about bench curl dig, which I'll use the X route there on against cover 2, and then I redo the Y. I don't like that Y's route. I like it to where you redo it, because when you do this here, you can still hit this guy right here as well. When you have short and elite, that guy's open as well. So those are just quick things, and it's all out of shotgun, all out of the 2. You also have some other things in here if you really wanted to run. Obviously, you got the single back ace, you got single back deuce, you've got single back wing. So if you start off in this formation, you've got a lot that you can want to do, and you can go right to bubble. You can do this where you're running stretch, right? So it all depends on how you want to do it. That's kind of my red zone scheme right now out of Texans, is using those stuff. Let's see here. There are so many questions. We're using L2 at all in the pocket. Using L2 to basically, I'm not sure what you're looking for L2. L2 is the what is L2? Is it the bumper or is it the bottom one? I don't even know. I don't use it, if that's the question. If you're asking me, like, am I using it as a speed burst, or I see L2 does the walk thing? I don't. No, I just use the left stick back and forth. I feel like I have more control over the guy. With L2, if I'm doing this, where I'm going back and forth like this, I don't know. To me, I like my stick better, so I have the ability to kind of know when I want to do things. So kind of go that way. So Russ asks, what's the best way to learn an ebook? Step by step, small increments at a time. Basically learn 3 or 4 plays, practice them in practice mode, go into game, just use those 3 plays. Realize what you need to add to them. I need a cover 2 beater. I need a cover 3 beater. I need match beaters. You go into you go into the next 3 plays, and then you basically you add it into installments so that you can do it. There's no way to learn a whole game plan in one sitting. It's just not the way it's going to be. But if like the style, like everybody plays different people. I want to put it this way, right? If you're a high competitor, there's certain plays that you're going to say, like, it looks great, but it's not going to be for me because I know I'm only going to face this, this, and this, right? If you're playing some of the people that are playing different competition, say I face cover 2 all the time, Tampa, cloud flats. I need to know how to beat cloud flats. I'll be honest with you, I don't face too many cloud flats that are standard all the time unless it's the first 5 games in Weekend League, right? Like, I'm going to find people that are going to do 30-yard drops. People are going to do different things with Tampa 2. But in the beginning of the year, I didn't face much Tampa 2. So, I might skip over those when it comes to learning it. I want to learn, I face so much, double Mabel or so much cover 4 match. I need to know what's important to me. And then from there, I've always told people, watch the whole game plan. give yourself the opportunity to learn everything. And then from there, as you're going through it, kind of, jot some notes of the plays that you think are going to be the best for the style of defenses that you face or the style of competition that you face, and then work it from there. But if you think that you're going to jump right into the game right after watching it and not really study anything or practice anything or get the timing down, you're just not going to have as much success. That's why I always say, start with several plays and then just add on to them. So that's typically my suggestion when it comes to learning game plans. But yeah, that's basically how that would go. And, don't think that you have to learn it in a day or 2 days, 3 days. To me, I don't use all the game plans, every day. What I mean by that is there's 61 plays in this empty, right? There's probably about 20 setups that I use a lot. And then there are plays that, in certain situations, I want to use a certain play. I have a little bit of a system that, I play with our game plans open. Even though it's something that I designed, it's something that helps jog my memory. We're going to have a new tool, offensive coordinator, that I'm hoping is coming out very, very soon. We definitely have it on the plans. That's going to really be able to be an amazing guide for you to play with it. And you're going to see having the ability to toggle through situational plays, coverages at your fingertips. So you don't have to learn everything. You just have that's what he did against cover 4 quarters. I didn't think about that. This will give you something that'll be able to be kind of like having somebody in your ear that helps you with, that's what we call it the offense coordinator, right? When you're in the heat of battle, sometimes you forget what you learned or forgot what play to go to in certain situations. This will help you with that. So Solly's asking, when you're playing Madden coverage, does it make a difference shading inside and outside? Yes, I believe it does. Depending on what if you're pressing, if you're at a certain point where you're not getting hands on the receiver, shading, say in a cover 0 situation where a safety is 10 yards off the ball, right? Let's back this up and kind of show you what I mean. So if you're in a Mike Blitz 0 type deal, those guys are going to be 10 yards off the ball. The safeties are going to be either on the slot or the tight end, depending on how many receivers you have out there, right? So if you're shading inside, you shouldn't expect that guy to really have much of a influence because there's 10 yards of separation, right? So let me just go to empty to kind of show you what I mean. We'll go to Texan and we'll just do an easy route slant flat, okay? So in this situation, say you can see, well, this is a little bit different, but we'll move this guy over. We know that this is a play that we like just because it's cross man and it's hard for that guy to get that way. But we'll leave that guy over, just give them the benefit of the doubt. We're just going to talk about this A on the player above the A. I'm going to press here and I'm going to shade to the inside, right? We're going to see that because he's 10 yards off the ball. See how he took steps inside, but he kind of let the outside go. Now let me show you here when we shade outside. All right, let's move this guy over. Even though it's not really going to make a big difference because of how far he's back. Let me just do this to where we're now shading to the outside. And you can see how those guys move to the outside shoulder. So in this instance, see how the guy kind of stays outside a little bit and he moved to the outside? Would we have been able to throw that pass? Yes. But you see the difference in the movement that gave you a little bit more opportunity to be in a better position. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you got to kind of understand, in a realistic approach. This guy did help you. He shaded inside when you told him to shade inside. He shaded outside when you told him to shade outside. But he's still in a really bad compromising position. He's 10 yards off the ball, and it wouldn't have mattered. We still would have thrown that ball, right? But if we're talking about these guys over here, that's the replay. Remember, we had shade outside. So this guy was on the outside shoulder now, and you can see that he funneled him to the inside, right? So they're going to do what you say the majority of the time, unless if it's like a different release. Like if there's an inside release route, then that's going to kind of mess you up a little bit. But it does help you in a lot of the situations. And I think ratings do play a part in that as well. If you've got a guy that's got a terrible press and you get against somebody that's got a good release, I do think that it's going to matter less. But if you got a good corner out there, you're basically just having him play leverage. And, if you're shading inside, you're going to take away that slant a lot more, but you're also going to give away the corner and vice versa, right? So if you know what something's coming, a good strategy is to shade inside and then have a curl flat to the outside from your safety, right? So you're kind of in the spot of, I don't want to give up that slant, but, and that's a situation that I may do in short yardage situations to where I don't think that they're trying to go deep. I'm just trying to, kind of bracket them two different sides. And you can't cover every receiver that way, but there's definitely ways that that will help you in that regard. So I want to make sure that I answer that. We're at the point where it's 4:00, where office hours is pretty much done. Let me just go ahead. We're out of questions on the Discord. Let me see if there's any low-hanging fruit that I can answer in either YouTube or Twitch. Let me see here. There's definitely a lot of good questions. Just unfortunately, it's a little bit more than easy questions where I can answer right away. It's more like I have to get into them type deal. So one person's asking what the pros and cons of the latest patch is. In my opinion, and I want to make sure that I preface this, I haven't had as much time on the patch as others. So, I can only speak from experience and from the people that I've talked to and how it all worked. The zones got better in a regard to where, the hard flats are playing closer to the line. Your curl flats are, especially your quarter flats, are playing, differently to where they're not getting sucked in as much. So match is playing really well. Obviously the bugs that we got as far as, some of the things with flipping formations and not being able to hike the ball or make adjustments or hot routes, and that, there are some buggy things that they need to take care of, but I do believe that the game is in a better spot from a gameplay situation. Obviously, those other things are probably very frustrating, especially when the game is getting shut off. There are a couple things that I've read that make the game shut off, by calling certain defenses in certain situations and all this type of stuff. And obviously, that's not good, right? Now you play a full game or play, and then your Xbox shuts off or whatever the case is, right? That's not fun. But I do have to commend them that I do believe that they've done a lot better job when it comes to, tuning up some things. Obviously, cover 2 was a big change. Depends on what side of the coin you're on, right? Like cover 2, a pro is that they're not allowing you to throw that ball in the hole as quickly. What I mean by that is, I'll just go ahead and call this corner play. If you look at the corner on the right side, he's now going to go pretty far down the field, right? So I just want to make sure that I show you this. The B, see how he's going to turn and he's going to follow him? But now the out route's open, right? So you're looking at it from a standpoint of, fixed one. And if people are, want, this route right here, it does a really good job to where now he's buying enough time to where that corner route, for the most part, is going to be, able to be covered by the safety, or it's going to be a tougher throw. Let's just put it that way. But he is dropping back so far that an underneath route, like a 10-yard out, is going to get underneath him. Right. Whether that's that type of route, or if we go to like, say, empty Y slot, and I'm just going to do it to where, just kind of show it to you in this regard. I'm going to move this guy to this thing. A wheel route is going to get underneath, cover 2 a lot more because they're driving back those players, right? They're driving them back. You're going to be able to get underneath it. So pro, cover 2 definitely takes away that outside a little bit more. But what it also does is it allows for underneath routes. So are you going to have to play a Mabel coverage? Like, do you have to, do a stacked zone to where you're putting a hard flat out there and a cloud flat? Potentially, right? In that regard, we look at the same route combination I just showed you where it's 2 streaks and a tight end out route. That guy's going to go underneath, right? But now, can we still fit it in? Potentially, right? So I like the direction they're going. I definitely think that, if you know how it plays, you can definitely, I guess my whole thing was, obviously we want as much realism as possible, right? But then the other thing I like is if we can count on it playing a certain way, we can go ahead and scheme around that certain way, right? Like if I know that they're killing me underneath on a cover 2, I can man somebody up, I can, put a zone underneath it. I can do a little bit more in my regard to make sure that I do it. If they're not playing anything, that's where it gets frustrating, right? I can't get him to play down. I can't get him to play deeper. I like consistency. And, in that regard. So when it comes to, pro, I would say that, that's a consistent thing. Con is that, obviously it opened up some stuff and you have to put more, zones on the field to stop it. So probably the best way I can answer that question, it's a little too early for me to give even more specifics on that. I wish I could, just because of the fact that, I just haven't played the game in extensive while I was doing this game plan. I tested it, with this game plan to make sure that everything worked and all that type stuff. But, as far as, really getting into it, I really haven't the last 2 days, in a really deep manner. But I definitely, looking to do so. So that might be a really good question for either Boogs on Saturday or Banks on Tuesday, when they've got a little bit more time on the game, that they can probably make a little bit better assessment than I can right now. So, well, guys, I appreciate it. We're a couple minutes over the 4 o'clock Eastern time here. We'll definitely sign out. See me every Thursday at 3 o'clock. Appreciate all the questions. It was really buzzing today. A lot of people asking questions. So hopefully I was able to answer most of them. I know sometimes, they're actual questions about game plans, which might not be as generic to the people that are watching, but just want to make sure you guys know that this is a subscriber benefit, that we answer their questions first and then we go to other things. So if they're in a certain game plan, they want to have certain answers, I definitely want to make sure that they get those, because this is their opportunity to have a one-on-one and get a live answer. Obviously we answer questions all the time in Discord throughout the week, but sometimes giving a visual on the sticks makes it a little bit easier for you. So appreciate it, guys. We'll catch you on the next time I'm here next week. And until then, have fun with the game. And we'll catch y'all later.